One. Our next topic is the case of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. It offers several important takeaways regarding criminal behavior, law enforcement, and societal impact on the lives of our children. The impact of environment is very important in the lives of our children. This case highlights the role of child abuse, exposure to extreme violence from his cousin who shared stories and photos of mothers in Vietnam, and also the head injury he had in the development of his antisocial and violent behavior. Stay tuned.
Good morning, class. All right, I'll be reporting on Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Richard Ramirez was born on February 29th at El Paso, Texas, United States. His parents were Mexican immigrants, and he's the youngest. He was the youngest out of five. So his mother, being Mercedes, was a book editor, and the father was a military veteran that always works at the train station. So his parents never had time to look after the children. The elder brother, at the age of 12, have started, breaking into people's home with their cousin Mike. So Richard Ramirez was left alone in the house with just a babysitter. And at age 3, while he was trying to get something from the locker, he was being hit by the locker and he collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. So he sustained little injury. And also at age 5, while he was playing at the playing ground, he was also hit. He was also hit by a swing. So that made him, he was admitted in hospital twice. So at age 11, he began to have seizures in classes. He would just collapse, and the parents were bothered. So, and they went to the hospital, and he was diagnosed of epilepsy. So, and according to discovery, they figured out that it was due to those traumatic experience he had while he was growing up. That was what led to his behaviors. To worsen everything about Richard Ramirez, why he became a serial killer, was when his cousin, known as Michael, a Vietnam War veteran who was a war hero, always come to tell him stories of how he tortured, raped, and murdered the Vietnamese women. So these stories were interesting to Richard Ramirez, and he began to model his cousin Mike. Mike also took him to his house in front of Richard and his nephews and niece. Mike pulled out a gun and shot his wife in front of Richard. Richard was so amazed with such event, and he began to look for materials that talks about sexual assaults, murder, and rape. So he began to break into people's houses. As he began to break into people's houses, he would get caught, and his father will begin to beat him and torture him. One of the nights, his father took him to a cemetery and tied him all night. It was the elder sister rescued him from Julian, the father. So the father happened to abandon him, and the elder sister was the one taking care of everything. So Richard Ramirez had to relocate to Los Angeles. That was where he began his adventure as a serial killer and a murderer. So the first of all was he first of all had a murder case when a lady met him to get something for him, which as he got it, he went to the lady's house, raped the lady, and killed the lady. So he began to listened to the founder of the Church of Satan. So he began to model the founder of the Church of Satan, the man that founded the Church of Satan. So he began to model him, and he developed a symbol, like the sign of a pentagram in his palm. That was where they began to trace Richard Ramirez. He also raped a 79 years old woman, a widow. The son refused to take it lightly, and that was where he was caught. As he was caught, due to the people didn't show up in court, the case was being dropped by the judge. It was in 1986 where he murdered a 9 years old girl that his fingerprint was found. And in 2004, they found his picture and he went viral. While he was trying to break into someone's car, because that is what he does, he breaks into people's car and sleep in stolen cars because he don't have houses. So while in 2004, he was caught while he was trying to break into someone's car. By then, his picture has gone viral. They had to start chasing him and he was caught. Funny enough, there was a publisher that fell in love with Richard Ramirez despite his violent and notorious acts. He fell in love with him and they got married even while Richard Ramirez was in prison. The lady decided to get married to Richard Ramirez. So the woman adopted 4 kids for Richard Ramirez while he was still in prison. So while Richard Ramirez was apprehended, he never felt any remorse when the judge sentenced him to life imprisonment. He just stated, big deal, big debt. So he was taken into San Ten Queen prison. That was where he was diagnosed of cancer in 2013 and he died.